Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of What About Nutrition on this radio station. We're so excited to have part two with Terry Leonard, a nutritionist and expert. And of course, David's going to introduce him again here with us. So we've got a very special superstar guest once again. And perhaps you heard our other show. If not, you can go to OfalaNutrition.com. That's www.OfalaNutrition.com. Find out, and you can listen to some of the archive programs. So excited to have David Gall with this radio station, with this program, all about nutrition and so many things to learn. and it's just an excited, you can tell I'm pumped up about this again. But I'm going to turn this over to David Gall, and he'll introduce our special guest.
Oh, yeah, it's been awesome. And folks, some of you may have heard our show last week with Terry Lemerond. We discussed natural pain relief and specifically the extract of turmeric known as curcumin. But today it's a new show, so I want to reintroduce Terry and just want to point out for folks that didn't hear last week, I have known about this man since I was 8 years old. My father really became a health nut in the 80s as a result of my mother's illness. And we used to go into health food stores, and one of the main brands was this brand called Enzymatic Therapy. We would see all these cool blue bottles. And, you know, Terry's been in the industry for over 40 years. He's currently the president of a great company known as Europharma, and with his wife Deborah, they also own and operate a natural food store in Green Bay, Wisconsin named Terry Naturally. And he's created over 400 formulations, has tremendous experience and knowledge in developing those natural formulations. And Terry also writes a weekly educational column called Terry Talks Nutrition, covers a variety of health topics, has a live weekly web-based radio program. I believe it's on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Is that right, Terry?
That's correct. Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. You know, and I was just on Terry Talks Nutrition last night, and I was really amazed that I've been looking at it over the years. You've really expanded that website. There's so much on there, I think, that can help people, and really a lot of free information. And that really goes along with the fact that Terry's mission is to introduce revolutionary natural products that will improve the health of America. And so, Terry, I just want to welcome you to the show this week. We're going to be talking about thyroid, iodine, and adrenals, but welcome to What About Nutrition?
Well, thank you very much, David. I really appreciate that. And while you were talking about Terry Talks Nutrition, if they want to go to my website, terrytalksnutrition.com, even if they want to ask a question, I'm there for them. If they want to ask what kind of products to use, the product are they using is the right one. Do they, what do they do for hangnails, or what do they do for vision? I'm always able to answer questions for them and give them some ideas. I don't treat cancer or diseases, but what I do is I give them some nutritional information that can support their body chemistry, structure, and function, and get them on a healthy road.
Yeah, that is really important because we can't diagnose, treat, cure, prevent diseases. We can't talk about that on the radio show, and we do have to mention that folks need to ask their health practitioner before they make any changes to their diet or supplement program. But with that said, there's a lot of good information out there that we can expose people to, and they can decide what to do with it after that. So Terry, today we're going to talk about adrenals, iodine, thyroid, and to me, all those things kind of go together. And, so let's start with thyroid. And I wanted to ask you, Terry, what are the symptoms of a poorly functioning thyroid?
Well, David, we are who we are because of our thyroid and our adrenals. Our liver continues to work daily. We don't even know it. Our heart functions, it pumps away. We have everything going on in our bodies, and it doesn't make us who we are. But the thyroid, that's who we are, and our adrenals help us to have the personalities that we have, helps us to be the person that we are. And if we have strong functioning thyroid and adrenals, we have a tremendous ability to function normally. The thyroid, if we have a low functioning thyroid, the thyroid is like a butterfly. Each lobe, one on each side of the throat area, and it's responsible for setting the temperature of the body, setting the metabolism of the body, setting our energy level. It's like the thermostat in our house. We feel cold, we turn up the thermostat. Well, people can't turn it up so easily in our bodies. People sit around, they're cold, everybody else feeling comfortable. They got to put a sweater on or a coat on or a blanket around themselves. They got cold hands, cold feet. They're sluggish. They don't like to get up in the morning. I'm not an early morning person. Let's work in the afternoon. Let's go in the afternoon. I just can't get going in the morning. They wake up and they go into the bathroom and they look in the mirror and they got a puffy face and they got swollen ankles. They got puffy eyelids, swollen eyelids. The outer third of the eyebrow is missing. They're constipated. They have the loss of initiative. They just can't get going. They have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. They have ringing in the ears. They have low temperature, which is number one, even in fact better than a blood chemistry. Blood chemistries really don't tell what happened to the thyroid.
Right.
But temperature does, and that's been developed by an old physician, Dr. Rhoda Barnes, who researched thyroid for over 60 years. And we can learn so much about who we are by our thyroid and our adrenals. We are who we are because of that.
Yeah, and it seems like it's really epidemic to have thyroid disorders in this country. I mean, I just can't tell you how many times we've had somebody walk into our store and tell us that they're on thyroid medication or that they have hypothyroid or some other thyroid disorder. And it makes you wonder, there must be something going on, as the name of our show, what about nutrition? Were we just designed to all have malfunctioning thyroids, or is there something causing this or contributing to it?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, what's up with that? Well, that's because we don't get iodine in our diets. We don't get iodine anywhere. Iodine was a common medicine before World War II, and it was used for everything. Dr. Zenj Georgi, who was the discoverer of vitamin C and bioflavonoids and Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1939, he said we used iodine for everything because it did everything good. We didn't understand its mechanism of action, but it worked so good we just gave it to everybody. And even in the 1940s and 50s, it was actually given out in schools because 60% of all the grade school girls had goiters. We were deficient in iodine, and we have been deficient in iodine for about 80 years. But now a group of medical doctors, alternative physicians, are studying iodine, and it's called the Iodine Project.
Wow.
It's very similar to what happened to vitamin D. We all thought vitamin D was 400 IUs was all we needed. Anything beyond that could be toxic. It would accumulate in our body, cause side effects, maybe even death. Mm-hmm. Nobody understood it. But now that we understand it because of two physicians that worked at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, they have researched for over 30 years. Now we're talking about vitamin D, and vitamin D has tremendous benefits, but in the thousands of units, not 400 units. But now the last study done was 8,000 units was an average dosage. 6,000 for pregnant women that fared better than any other dosage range. So we know that vitamin D is safe, and higher dosages give us better results. And the same is being done for now iodine. We thought 150 micrograms, 225 micrograms was a good dosage. Beyond that was not necessary. But we're finding now that the best dosage per day is 12.5 milligrams.
Wow.
They could, why do we have so many thyroid problems? Because we don't have any iodine. We cannot have a normal thyroid function without iodine and an amino acid called L-tyrosine. These two combine together and make thyroxine. If we go to the doctor and eventually he does admit that there is a low thyroid, the immediate thing they do is give thyroxine synthetically or some kind of synthroid because they like to use a synthetic hormone. But if they'd open up their biochemical textbook, they would see that the iodine has to be given if you want a normal thyroid. But they bypass that. They don't even give any credit to iodine. And now we know that every cell in the body has a receptor site for iodine, particularly the prostate, the ovaries, uterus, and breast tissue. And that's why many doctors believe that we have an increased breast cancer, prostate cancer in this country, because not only are we not getting some of the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatories, but iodine is anti-cancer, antiviral, and antibacterial, and we see this happening in these very hormone-sensitive tissues, and that's why we're having such an epidemic of hypothyroidism. It affects 70% of the female population and 50% of the male population.
Isn't that incredible? And it's just getting overlooked. And in fact, we're finding that a lot of physicians out there are telling people that they don't need iodine, or that because we have iodized salt, we get plenty. But from what I understand, Terry, iodized salt has these compounds called bromides in it. Bromides in our flour, of course, it's known as brominated flour. Fluoride and chlorine belong to this family as well. And I guess from what I've read, they displace iodine in the thyroid gland. So it's like not only are we not consuming much iodine, but then we actually consume compounds that effectively block it. Is that true?
You're right, David. In fact, these are halogens. We have 5 halogens on the same periodic table of the chemistry. And one, of course, the most productive of these halogens is iodine. Since we are deficient in iodine, the other four, as you mentioned, like bromide, chlorine, sodium fluoride, and acidine, will accumulate in our cells. And as Dr. Dean Burke, who was the president of the National Cancer Institute in Washington, said, we have more cancer in the United States because we more frequently intake fluorides, which is sodium fluoride that we think is healthy for our teeth but kills us from cancer, and also that we have chlorine in our water and we drink more water, so we are taking in these cancer-causing chemicals in the absence of iodine because they use the same pathway in entering the cellular level. If we had iodine, iodine would block the uptake of these cancer-causing chemicals, but in the absence of iodine, these freely enter the pathway, enter the cellular level, and cause cancer.
Well, isn't that incredible? You know, in our last minute and a half of this segment, Terry, I'd like to ask you or comment, you know, I've seen a lot of fear from folks of taking higher doses of iodine because they've been told that, you know, that it'll be toxic or that it might even hurt their thyroid. And I just would like to hear your comments on that.
Well, iodine is the safest mineral we can possibly take. If you can take it at 100,000 times the RDA, there are really, really no side effects. And when people say, oh, I can't take iodine because I break out, yeah, they're breaking out because the iodine is causing the discharge of these toxic chemicals, such as the bromides and the fluorides and the chlorine. They're coming out and they're seeing rashes and pimples and maybe sneezing and runny nose. Well, that's because these chemicals are now being discharged out of the body, which is a very, very good thing. I always tell people that's great. You're getting healthier.
Right, and it's really important for folks to understand that, particularly if they're just getting into, cleaning up their diets, less toxicity, using things like iodine, that their body might go through a transition, and sometimes that's okay.
That is very okay. In fact, that's the way we heal. In fact, we heal the opposite way we get sick. So sometimes we need to go through some of these periods of time where we discharge these toxins, these chemicals, and we may feel a little bit punk. We may feel a little bit down, but this is because we're cleaning out our body, and that causes a lot of, you know, when your house looks clean, but when you start cleaning it, it looks dirtier. That's the same thing that happens in the body.
That's exactly true. What a great analogy. Well, that kind of wraps up our first segment, Terry, and I look forward to coming back in segment 2, and we're going to talk about adrenals and adrenal exhaustion and link that up with the iodine and thyroid a bit as well.
All right, thank you very much. We will be right back with part 2 of this exciting show. What about nutrition? Go to www.ofallennutrition.com, ofallennutrition.com. We'll be right back.